All right, welcome. So today we're going to take a look at the fall ACP benchmark. So we had just taken the benchmark and it was that 46 question test right before the break. And as we went through it, I told you that, hey, as long as you get a 33, I'll give you 100 as a project grade, the 33 or higher. So I wanted you, it was more of a completion grade, but I didn't want you just randomly choosing. I wanted you to do the best you could. So we're going to go through here and each question has statistics, like how we did overall as students, and we're going to look at that. So starting from number one, which I have number one here, we're going to work our way through this. Now, at the same time, I do have a few DOLs. So we're going to look at 12 questions a day. That's it, just 12. And I'm going to show you a technology way of solving each problem. For each, there's 4 sections of problems, technically 5. But for 4 of the sections of problems, after I review a section, so like the first one are what we call compositions. After we review these compositions, we have a DOL that's going to be listed in PowerSchool Learning and Google Classroom. So if you're in your Google Classroom and you go to classwork and go to fall ACP preparation, we are looking at day 1. That's what we're looking at right there. Okay, so day 1 is what we're on right now. If you want to open that up. Now, I know many students have had trouble with their passwords, so because of DISD resetting them. If you can't fill out this attendance, then you need to make sure you stay on Zoom the entire class period, because I want to take attendance at some point in time from Zoom. But if your password's working when you scan this, then great. You can go ahead and fill that out, so I have it recorded there as well for your attendance. But if you click day 1, that's what we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to review these 5 concepts, and I have DOLs for the 5. So for the 5 here that we review through, we'll have DOLs. That's what this exam is right there. I should change this just to say DOLs. Change that. Exam, DOLs, all ACP review. Okay, so that's where you'll submit that right there. If you're using PowerSchool Learning, what you'll do is you'll go to fall ACP preparation, and we are looking at this fall ACP review day 1. That's what we're doing right here. Okay, so those will be your DOLs right there. Okay, so with that, let's get started. The next thing I'm going to click on is today we're going to be using the calculator a lot, and over the break I updated how the list looks. So I think it really is helpful. So I want you to go ahead and click Desmos pre-programmed graphs, and then click the Desmos graphs. It'll pull up this list, and as you'll see, it used to be a list. Now it's a table, and I made it easier to follow. So like you don't have to know the name of the functions. Like before, I just had it listed by name with their link. Now you have the name of the topic over on the left side. But if you don't know what the topic is, you can look by the symbols on the right. For example, this number 1 problem that we're going to look at, you see how it says if f of x equals 3x plus 2, g of x is 2x squared, and h of x equals x minus 2. What is bracket g of f of h, close your bracket, of -4? Well, you won't have to know that the name of this is composition of functions now. Since I've updated this list, you'd say, okay, that's some weird symbols. Let me go down my symbols list and see where I find it. And it happens to be right there on composition of functions. So I'm going to give you a moment. I'm going to pause this video. Make sure you open up this Desmos graph. That's what I want you to click on, and open that up for me, please. So it should open you up to this screen here. Okay, so I'm resuming the video. Hopefully you had time to realize that this symbol matches composition. So you click this link and you're looking at this graph. So here's how we proceed to solve. Okay, so I want you to you can almost time me how long it takes to get an answer using these Desmos calculators. F of x is 3x plus 2. So I'm going to come over here to f of x and put 3x plus 2. G is 2x squared. So you change your g equation to 2x squared. And h is x minus 2. X minus 2. So if you're doing this at home, I'd recommend you split screen it. So you have the video, my video going on one side and your calculator screen on the other side, so you can be following along. Now this is key instruction right here. So notice I intentionally did it to where it'll pull up a warning sign. It says by default, f of g of h is what's given. That's what's graphed. f of g of h. Now I want you to check out the problem. Is that what problem number 1 is? Is it f of g of h? Are the letters in the same order?
They aren't.
They're not. And so we need to change the order. We need it to be a G followed by an F followed by an H. So the way to do that, what it says here, to edit the order, change the composition below by the purple circle. So it's talking about right here. Instead of F, G, H, it needs to be G, F, H. And so now this is a proper graph. And then this would be the table. We want to know what the value is at -4. So you could just look over here at -4 and say, oh, my answer is 512, which is correct. Or the other thing you can do is, since you want to find a -4, you could just put the -4 right there, G of f of h of -4. You notice that now all it shows you is 512. So that's the correct answer. 512 is the correct answer. Notice to get that answer, I didn't have to do any work by hand. All that I did straight up just by using the calculator there. If you were wanting to do this by hand, go for it. Ali, what's up?
Sorry. I edited the G of f of h, and I have 128.
Okay, so you see right here, G of f of h.
Yeah.
Right there, after the h. Does yours say -4?
No, mine says x.
Okay, so if yours says x, you have to look on the x column at -4. What does it say at the -4?
Oh, it says -4, and then it says 128.
Okay, so go up here. That means we entered one of these wrong. Read to me. What does your f say?
3x plus 2.
What does your g say?
2x squared.
Okay, is the squared only on the x, or is it in parentheses?
It's only on the x.
Perfect. And what does h say?
2.
Oh, it needs to be x minus 2.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, back over here, the algebra, if you want to know what's the algebra, remind me. When we did this, what we did is we used what's called stack technique, and you stack G on top of F on top of H. So G's equation would come first. F's equation goes underneath it. H's equation goes beneath that. And then the -4, if you have a number, you place that beneath the x there. And so basically, I'm going to write that -4 twice. What happens is this. -4 gets substituted into h, and then you reduce. And after you reduce, we're going to substitute that into f. And after we reduce there, we're going to substitute that into g. This is the way you would do it by algebra or by hand. So this -4 goes in and replaces this x. So I'm going to change the color so you can see. This x right here is going to be changed. So instead of having x minus 2, it becomes a -4 minus 2. That's what changed right there. Actually, I'm going to switch this to green and circle it with purple so you can see. So that's what swapped right there. This x got replaced by this -4. It's all substitution is what's happening. And so whenever you reduce this, -4 minus 2 more is -6. You would then take the -6 and plug that in right there. And so this time, this x gets replaced with a -6. And so it'd be 3 times -6. And I'll put black parentheses, but I'm going to circle in purple in a second, plus 2. And so all I did is I replaced this x with the -6. So circling this in purple, this -6 replaces this x. So that's all that happens. It's a substitution the whole way. It's the way the math works out. 3 times -6 is -18. You add 2, you get -16. And then if you plug this in by hand, this is where we get the 512. So that's going to go in right there. And so we would have 2 times -16 squared. Once again, this x right there gets replaced by this -16 from down below. If you type that in the calculator, that's where you get 512. So that's what the calculator does. It just does it really fast. So for as much time as it took me here, we were able to get our answer very quickly over there, borrowing that we got our equation right. If you don't type in your equation right, obviously, as we just learned, you'll get the wrong answer. But so that's a quick way of doing number one. So now I'm going to show you number two, and then I'm going to give you a DOL. So what do we do when we're given these problems, but it's an equation? It's not a number answer. We're not looking for numbers. What do we do if we are only given equations? Because this was easy. It gave me numbers. What do I do if I have equations? Because this will not give me an equation. Well, let me show you. Let's first go over here to our graph. So now I'm on the second problem here, which if you didn't realize, if you're wondering, why is it number 15 for the second problem? That's because I randomized the order. So when I put them in here, it gets randomized. This became a number 15 for what became form A. That's why. So just to clarify that. So I'm going to put in F's equation. So I'm now moving on, new problem. So let's change our F to be x squared. And I already threw out the rest. Plus 2x minus 1. Plus 2x minus 1. Our G is 3x. And then my H is x plus 1. Now, the one thing I got to be very careful of on every problem is make sure my order is correct. This says find F of G of H. And there's an X here. So F, G, H of X. I need to make sure my order is the same. Well, it's not anymore because I changed it on problem number 1. So I'm going to change this to F, G of H. F, G, H, F, G, H, and then followed by an X. So I need to change this back to an X. Now, this problem, you notice, like what I was saying, the values over here are not an equation. So how do I get the correct answer? Here's how. What we're going to do is we're going to type in these graphs and see which one matches this right there. So to make this easier, I'm going to slide this over a little bit. Okay, and so now let's type these in. So we're going to see which one of these equations overlaps the purple there. So I have 9x squared plus 6x plus 2. So blue's answer choice A. I can tell A is wrong because it doesn't overlap. So next one, 9x squared plus 6x plus 14. The green is also wrong. Let me zoom out. See, the green is up here. We're looking for the purple. So the green is wrong. So let's try answer choice C. 9x squared, 9x squared plus 12x plus 2. And I don't like that this option is purple. I'm going to change it. I'll hit the edit, and I'm just going to change it to red. Notice that this next one is also wrong. So the red is not overlapping, the blue is not overlapping, the green's not overlapping. The red's the closest, but it's still wrong. So that means answer choice D should be correct. Let's check it out. 9x squared plus 24x plus 14. And just to make it clear, let me remove the wrong answers. Notice the black graph overlaps perfectly. So answer choice D would be correct because it overlaps our equation when we have that graphed. So again, the answer choices that are wrong will be graphs that do not overlap, as the red, the blue, and the green did not overlap, but the black did overlap the purple, so that's why it was correct. Any questions on these two problems before I give you your DOL? No? Okay, so DOL number 1. What I want you to do is, in case your PowerSchool Learning is not working, just go to Google Classroom, and you'll go to Fall ACP Preparation, open up day 1, and you can click this link, and you'll take this DOL. So DOL number 1 is this problem. I want you to work out this problem right there. So I'm going to start up a poll for you to submit it into.